All right, hello everyone. This is Aquas, and this is Shooting Game Weekly, episode 53. And this week we're going straight to Gun.Smoke, coming off of the Commando episode of recent. We had a request for Gun.Smoke, and we're bringing it here just because this game is freaking nuts. Classic Capcom run and gun shmup, and vertically scrolling shooter or run and gun from Capcom 1985, of course. And then this week we're actually going to be taking a look at a 1cc replay by a guest on this episode, Bill. So Bill, how's it going?
It's going good, going good.
And also being joined by my co-host, Frenetic, is here.
Hey guys, F-Man's back in the house.
He's back in the house. So we got a 1 credit clear. Gun.Smoke is considered to be the hardest games, one of the hardest games Capcom ever made, straight from the Capcom wiki.
Whoa, is it? Oh, that's cool.
Well, I guess that's a notoriety with this game. I suppose you could perhaps alleviate some of that, but
yeah, I feel a bit better about all those deaths in stages 8, 9, and 10.
There you go.
Yeah, so just a very basic part about Gun.Smoke. It's kind of a game that has a Western theme. The main character his name is Billy Bob. He's a bounty hunter.
Very befitting since we have Bill on the show.
Yeah.
Billy Bob.
He's not my namesake, unfortunately, but we can just pretend he is for this episode.
There you go.
And so you're basically just taking on a bunch of criminals in the Wild West. I started there in the wild, so it was like Will Smith something.
Yeah.
Wild West.
I actually thought he was the sheriff, but it turns out he's just a hired gun. But at the end, you'll see the glorious English telling you that he's gonna stick around to be the guardian of the quote-unquote town. So anyway.
Yeah, so the very basic thing about this game is that you have 3 buttons for shooting your fire towards the left, center, and right. So in this game, it's constantly scrolling and you're moving around, but then you're constantly choosing which direction to shoot in with 3 buttons, which is probably, in my opinion, the coolest thing about Gun.Smoke, because you're just mashing buttons, right? Pretty much going apeshit, like shooting stuff, right?
Yeah, that's the defining feature of the game. Definitely is the 3. There's actually 6 directions you can shoot in by combining them, but honestly, it's not the sort of game where you want to be too distracted, So yeah, mostly it just sticks to the old bread and butter, left, right, center,
So that's what the 3 buttons are for: left, right, and center shooting. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, left, center, right, 1, 2, 3. It goes in that order. It's very, very intuitive, actually.
But you can press like 1 and 2, and it will shoot like left and center.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes a spread. It makes like a makeshift spread shot or something, right?
Yeah. If you roll your thumb or your fingers across the 1, 2, 3 or 3, 2, 1, you get this nice sort of spread. But the thing as well, I don't know how intentional this was, but the game is very, very picky about what bullets are actually hitting the enemy. So if there's times where you'll just let out this glorious spread and it'll just completely miss the guy and he'll shoot you and kill you. So you've got to really can't play around. It's like Clint Eastwood said in Unforgiven, you got to keep your head, I like to think this is sort of you're playing as Clint from Unforgiven in his younger days when he was sort of completely off his rocker.
Well, funny you mentioned that because for this episode I brought up some of the Gun.Smoke artwork, and one of the artwork has a live action guy.
Oh yeah,
have you seen this picture? He's got
that was the advertisement for the NES version, I think, or something.
So it's just like this real guy.
Is that the one where he's like in a black hat and he's really that's right. I remember that was my first contact with the game, so to speak. Obviously the NES version isn't really the same, but yeah, I remember thinking, man, that just looks absolutely hardcore. And then I never got to play it until emulation came around. So
Right, yeah. So we talked just a little bit about the gameplay, just a little bit more. So you can you die in 1 hit, but you can get a horse power up, which gives you protection, and then there are also power ups for faster bullets, speed of movement, and then
shot speed,
shot speed, and then shot length as well. So there's a variety of power ups. But we'll kind of, I guess, we'll reiterate that, I guess, a little bit later. But I would like you to talk about kind of your history, I guess, with this game and what brought you to wanting to one credit clear it and anything, surrounding that, the idea of Gun.Smoke, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I say, I first became aware of this thing back on I remember as Archie Comics always had these advertisements for Capcom games, and Gun.Smoke was in there.
Oh, Archie's, okay.
Yeah, that was sort of I mean, that you talk about nostalgia. That's just absolute concentrated nostalgia for me. Those old ads, but yeah, when emulation became a thing, sort of in the late '90s, I immediately downloaded Gun.Smoke for the NES and thought, well, okay, this is kind of cool, but didn't really have any contact with the arcade version until 2005, when Capcom Classics Collection came out on the PS2.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and that had Gun.Smoke on it, and I played it, and I immediately said, "Well, this proves that arcade games are impossible. Forget it." And I just didn't touch it for the next few years or so.
Yeah, Gun.Smoke doesn't seem like a great one to start out with for arcade games.
No, it's the sort of thing where if you don't have that mindset of sort of fighting tooth and claw the way you have to with arcade games, if you sort of think, well, be reasonable, yeah, don't bother, it's just going to roll you over. So yeah, I didn't touch it until.
So kicked your ass at first.
Yeah, oh god, and on top of that as well, that version is interlaced and it doesn't have tate vertical screen, so the bullets are already not very visible. Sort of a bit of Garega going on there. And I was just absolutely.
So the port wasn't that great.
Yeah, the best version I think is on the Japanese PlayStation, Capcom Generation 4, which, as far as I can tell, is just absolutely perfect. But I didn't get into that until years later. So at the time, I thought, well, this proves everything I've ever thought about arcade games. They're just out to get Capcom paid and go away. And then, but then Gradius 5 came around. Sorry, I know this is all incredibly roundabout. Just tell me to get to the point if you want.
No, this is part of the history. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So yeah, Gradius 5 came around, and like a few other people, I'm sure, it showed me that these games are actually, they can be quite accommodating. So found the Shmups forum and so on and so forth, and
sure.
Right around after I think Metal Black was the first arcade game I really felt like I was getting to grips with. I thought I'd revisit Gun.Smoke to see if it seemed any less sort of more brutal, because I mean, even though I only played it for about 20 minutes, believe me, it left an impression, And yeah, I found that using some of the principles I picked up from other games and also from reading the forum, I thought, well, okay, this makes sense. Sort of, the enemies are incredibly, to put it bluntly, they're just they're awful backstabbing things, but your character is fast enough to run rings around them, quite literally, so it balances out. And the bullets are really fast and hard to see, but frankly, they're all directly aimed at your character, so it's never really, it's not like sort of a invisible sea of grey flickering death that you might think of when you talk about invisible bullets, And yeah, overall it made a lot more sense. As I say, having gone through the basic training, you might say, Gradius 5, and to be honest, I think Metal Black is sort of on the easier end of arcade games, but yeah, I guess the moral of the story is this is absolutely not a game to give to anyone who's not familiar with shooters, because they'll just conclude that Capcom were, rifling through your pockets. Just forget it, But I am writing a strategy guide for it at the moment, which I plan to get up next week.
Oh man.
Yeah, which will hopefully explain. It's no way to say it. I mean, it is a really brutal game, but the heart of the game is really the strafing, the multi-direction. Mm-hmm. I noticed there's a forum post that I've linked to a few times on Shmups. This guy just went absolutely psycho over the game. It's so unfair, it shoots you in the back and blah, 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 and all that. He also said, you've got to press 2 buttons at once to shoot forward, which is only in the NES version, thank God. But that guy is sadly banned now. But I always keep it around as a sort of a reference. Of sort of, well, okay, the enemy's like trying to get behind you, but you're a lot faster than them, and your bullets are limited in range, which so are theirs. It all works out. You'll see in the replay, It's not just it's not a nasty sort of fist in the face ordeal. It's actually really, really well balanced. But as I say, you know, actions speak louder than words. You'll see.
Yeah, like I did preview your replay a little bit, and it's definitely you play it a little bit more calm than definitely I did. Like when I play this game, I'm basically just going nuts, just hitting buttons. Yeah. But it looked like you had it a bit more under control.
But I've actually got a diagram I'm working on of just how to. I think when we were talking earlier, we talked about the grey sort of pistol guys that follow you. Mm-hmm. They are the heart of the game, basically. If you don't know how to deal with those guys, you're not going to get far, particularly when the terrain gets very, very much less friendly later on. And the way to take those guys down is just a nice smooth strafe right across. You fire, they get hit, and you get out of the way of the bullet, you know? And as I say, you'll see it's just, yeah, okay. It all comes down to that control sort of, you know, taking down the enemies, making sure that the screen doesn't get too full. Okay. If the screen gets full, you've had it basically.
And yeah, there's 9 stages. Is that what it is?
There's 10 actually.
There's 10 stages.
The sixth one is about 4 times as long as all the others, so it's ridiculous. But yeah.
So it's one of those games. It's just so many stages and bosses.
Yeah, that's another thing.
The bosses are tough too, huh?
Yeah, that's another thing. It can seem incredibly intimidating starting out because you might think, well, by the 3rd stage or so, the game is really starting to sink its teeth, and you might think, well, dear God, how am I going to make it through the rest of the game? But actually, what you don't know at that point is that really the difficulty curve, it peaks at around stage 3, and then the rest of it is just variations on that. There's a 6th stage, which is sort of an endurance thing almost. But beyond that, yeah, it's an odd sort of game as regards to difficulty curve. If you can make it through the 3rd stage, you can pretty much beat the game.
I see. All right, well, I'm going to queue up the replay on my end here.
Sure.
If there's any other... so we briefly mentioned the power-ups. Anything you want to add about the items in the game, and as far as, like, score items, I guess, too?
Yeah, the game has this weird sort of almost quasi-RPG thing going on where you have 3 stats. You have, like you said, shot speed, shot range, and movement speed. And you'll see at the bottom of the screen, when you pick up the items that correspond to these stats, you know, you'll see them stacking up. This might look like there's different levels, but actually no, there's just on and off, basically. So there's just movement speed fast, movement speed slow.
Oh, really?
And, yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
When you so if you have 5 boots, it's the same as having 1 boot. The difference is that when you die, the game will take away 1 item from each category. So these items are just a buffer, basically, to avoid the dreaded Gradius checkpoint syndrome, where you pop back up with a brand new ship and it's over. You know?
Oh, okay.
And yeah, there's 1 item in the game in particular which you've got to watch out for. This buffalo skull. When you pick it up, it makes the most. I know, Aquis, you said that the Commander 1-up sound was a favorite of yours.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like that. It makes the most ungodly sound. But when you pick that up, it's like.
I don't suppose you pick it up then.
Yeah. When you pick it up, it takes away 1 from each category, just like dying. So you wanna avoid those. But you'll notice towards the end of the game, after I've taken a few deaths, the power-up icons aren't going down. That's because even though you can only see 5 on the screen, and this goes for your lives as well, it actually keeps stacking. I think it must go up to around 10 or so at the very least. So yeah, like I say, it's an odd game. There's no falsificare going on. Don't worry.
So the power-ups max out at some point. Do they?
You know, I'm not sure. It could be some insanely high number or what. But I noticed that at the very end, on my last death, the bullets icon, I lose 1 because you get those later than the other ones. You get those around stage 3.
Okay.
I lose that by 1, but that's sort of like at that point I finished the game anyway. But yeah, basically, with picking up items, it's just insurance. There's only 1 level otherwise.
All right, well, I think we're ready to check out this replay and see how it's done in Gun.Smoke.
Sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to do a countdown, and then we'll hit enter on go.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. Now, this is an experiment, because actually just playing the replay off of my own version of MAME here. And so there's a chance of a desync, but let's just pray that doesn't happen.
Yep. Pray to God. Or your deity of choice, whatever.
So the first boss is Master Winchester there.
That's right. Yeah, it's a bit confusing. First name is his name, and then it's his weapon. So when you see later on, you see a guy called Pig Joe Dynamite and all that. Well, you can figure it out, you know.
Oh, okay, I see.
And as you can see, it gets right into it. I mean, as you can see, these gray guys are already trying to kill me.
So those are the gray guys. Gotcha.
Yeah, those are trust me, these are the absolute nemesis of the game. I mean, if you were to remove these guys and their AI from the game, it would become honestly so easy.
So, because they come onto the screen and then their movement is just pretty random, isn't it?
Yeah. But what they're constantly trying to do is get close to you, because as you can see, my shots are limited in range, but so are theirs, which gives it a very sort of personal, up close and personal feeling.
Yeah, you're being very aggressive in this game, right?
Absolutely.
When they come on the screen, they immediately like back up or dodge it.
It's a bit
kind of lure
strange.
you in.
Yeah, it's strange with those enemies. When they come on the screen, like there just then, they're technically not active. For like a half second or so, they just sort of mill on and then they get going. So if you blanket them with bullets as they're coming onto the screen, you can stop them before they start, so to speak. But
all right, so you grab the horse there.
Yeah. Horse lets you take 3 extra hits and speeds you up, and it also gives you a massive hitbox. So if you played Gradius before, this is the horse field, you might say. And my horsemanship in this run is not very good at all, I'm afraid. He gets killed a lot. But if you can make it to a boss with a horse, yeah, obviously it's going to make your life a lot easier.
The horse takes 5 hits then.
Oh, three, I'm afraid.
3 hits? Okay, cool.
But when you get knocked off the horse, you get a good 2 seconds of invincibility, so you can just bum rush the boss and shoot him in the head to kill him.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can also pick up those dynamites, right?
That's right.
Being thrown in.
The game is incredibly strict about whether you've picked them up or not. So if it's flashing and about to blow, you want to stay away.
Okay.
But okay, poor old horse went down there.
Nice, and then you did use that invincibility to branch them off. And then
Yeah,
the bosses are only vulnerable during certain phases, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the other feature, of course, is that the main threat is usually not the boss himself. It's all his lackeys that will just keep pouring onto the screen. When I said earlier that the game is totally broken for scoring, well, you can just hang around there and they won't stop coming.
You just hang out with the boss and just kill guys. Okay, yeah, it's broken in Commando too. I mean, you can just wait as well. So it's like it wasn't, scoring wasn't really the main idea, I think.
Nah. Honestly, I mean, it's a game that revolves around one thing, and that's just this, what you're seeing right here, this head-to-head sort of challenge of taking on these bloodthirsty enemies.
Exactly.
Actually, it's funny, most of the other enemies, there's a window sniper here, most of the other ones aren't as bad, but these grey guys just form the backbone of the enemy force, and they'll keep you on your toes,
So yeah, I suppose every now and then a gray guy does get like behind you.
Inevitably that'll happen, and
so you just gotta wait for them to get it in front of you at that point.
It's sort of an acquired thing. You've got to double back around them. You'll notice that Billy's a heck of a lot faster than the grey guys are, and also they can only sort of switch directions so quickly, whereas you can obviously just switch your way around. So you pick up the skill of sort of luring them a bit higher up, then doubling back and nailing them down.
Sure.
What was that item that you picked up right before you picked up the horse again?
That's alcohol. As you know from Final Fight, in Capcom logic, alcohol is a very good thing indeed, and you want to pick up as much of it as you can. So, but unfortunately, it's just for points in this game. It doesn't buff you up or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, you would think in the Old West whiskey would sort of give you massive, Kenshiro muscles and all that.
or give you heat like it does in Yakuza, right?
Yeah, or maybe like a berserker mode or something like Clint in Unforgiven when he drinks the whole bottle of whiskey and then shoots everyone. Here's second boss. The second boss is called Roy. In the US version, they changed from the Mac as in Mac the Knife. There's a weird glitch with this boss where if you kill him and then run over his dead body with the horse, he'll come back to life as an invincible zombie, and you'll have to reset the game.
That was intentional. You're like, don't desecrate Mac the Knife.
Yeah, exactly.
With horse.
That's pretty odd.
Yeah, here's a random, incredibly interesting fact. That bullet pattern on the poster, there's a number of them the game can use, and it's randomly chosen. So it becomes sort of like a little reward at the end of the stage, seeing if the guy got really nail right in his head. Like poor old Mac there got it right in the nose, you know. So it's like the final insult.
You're like, that's how we got stuck.
Yeah,
That's pretty funny.
yeah,
I like it though.
yeah. This is the infamous ninja stage.
Yeah,
Which,
ninja darts. Like,
yeah.
this is the stage I had trouble beating, especially specifically the boss part.
The entire stage is divided, as you can see, by that river, and this makes things a little bit more complicated when, you know, obviously it makes it harder to get close enough to kill these infernal grey guys. You notice, I don't think it did it there, but when you get the horse, it cancels all bullets on the screen as well, which is nice. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's not much of an advantage, but you take what you can get in this thing.
Right.
There's a grey at the bottom of the screen. Just you'll notice that sometimes you can trick them into sort of running off screen and then they're gone. They're good as dead, basically. Or you can get them left behind by the scrolling. But it's honest. But the main thing you want to do right there, that one. What you really want to do though is just shoot them down before they can cause trouble. And here's a buffalo. Yeah, go away, buffalo.
Oh yeah, and the POW item. Yeah, we didn't really talk about that. So that clears the screen, right?
Yeah, that's the bomb basically, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hang on. Yeah, that buffalo that you saw earlier just there, they won't actually do anything until they're shot, and then they'll make their way off screen. And as far as I know, they'll actually damage you on contact like any other enemy. So
I know one of the main ways you deal with all the enemies is hitting them like at the tip of your shot.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
trying to do it that way. Like this seems to be a really good way to keep them at bay. If
Yeah.
you can do it that way.
The whole game is basically keeping these incredibly aggressive. You can't even call them popcorns because some of them don't even take one hit, and they're just too nasty, honestly. But you want to keep these guys at bay, basically. That's the whole thing. That's the principle that'll let you beat the game. And once you get that down, everything becomes a lot easier.
Okay, gotcha. So we got ninja darts here throwing
Yeah,
kunai at you.
there we go.
Those are shuriken, actually. Kunais are knives.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah, I was about to say I've been playing tons of Shinobi in the last few days, and yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, that's cool. You can shoot them too, right?
Now, yeah, something I was going to say there, with Ninja, what makes him a particularly tough boss is I think just the onslaught of enemies. What you've got to do in this game is when you're clearing enemies off while taking on the boss, you can't alternate between clearing enemies and hitting the boss. You've got to do both at once, if you know what I mean.
So you mean you gotta take the opportunity to damage the boss?
Yeah, you've got to just incorporate damaging the boss and dodging his attacks into destroying everything else, because otherwise you just get swamped. You know, that's how.
I noticed that kind of happened to me. I was like focusing on the boss, and then it was like, oh yeah, they all poured in from behind.
Yeah,
and I was
and also
like,
think, holy crap, there's like 10 guys behind, and that's it. You know.
And then yeah, you're pretty much screwed. So
this game's, as far as the player goes, this game's entire balance is that you've got absolutely no rear offensive capability.
Right.
So, sort of one guy at your back is worse than 10 in front, you know?
Right, yeah.
So you've got to, I call it housekeeping, actually. You'll see on the very last boss, you've got to keep house sort of while attacking the boss. It's just forget it, you know?
When you grabbed the horse there, I thought I desynced for a sec because it like it freezes the game, but
Yeah,
like those guys are
it.
jumping in at the same time. It's kind of cinematic.
Yeah. The game occasionally does little freak outs, like when it loads. I think a few of the later stages it'll pause for a bit, which actually really throws me off on a recording. I'm just sort of, you know, it's like it's messing with you almost.
So you did
Yeah.
mention that some of the enemies had like more HP than just like one hit.
Yeah, a few of them. The knifer guys take 4, I think, which means they're often better off not bothering with, especially as they'll just leave the screen.
Snipers, yeah.
The buffaloes can't be killed as far as I know. The rifle guys that run in and strike, they take 2 hits, so yeah, you gotta watch it with that. This guy here, this boss, would be really nasty and a good successor to Ninja Darts, except that you can shoot down his boomerang, so he's just a told you.
Oh.
Yeah, and also he's really getting to sort of a looping animation where he jumps and oops, gets hit, you know. However, on this replay, I do kind of let him stick around a bit too long, and you'll see things get a bit hairy. Oop.
There's just so many gray guys. Like
Yeah.
The popcorn, I mean, they're not as, but they remind me in Twin Cobra of like the 3rd or 4th stage helicopters that just come in and they come in at weird angles.
That's right.
They move backwards.
They're basically sort of the archetypal shooter popcorn just from hell. I mean, they're sort of, they won't go away. They'll hunt you down until either you kill them or you. Now here's this guy called Pig Joe Dynamite. He should actually be called Pig Joe Godzilla because his deadliest weapon is his flame breath, which is the most terrifying one-shot pattern I've ever seen.
Yes. If Tom was here, you would be complaining about that.
Yeah,
it's pretty
actually
random, huh?
Yeah, it's sort of. I'm not sure what the programming is, but it's randomly. He'll fire sort of in your general vicinity, and the critical thing is to never try to sort of second guess him, because if you do that and you run right into his bullet, it'll feel like the game is reading your controller basically.
What it seemed like is he was either predicting where you're gonna be, or he's like shooting exactly where you are.
Yeah, so sometimes I've been right in front of him and he fires way off to the side, and I think, well, yeah, it's really nasty. It's basically the ultimate one bullet boss attack. It's really cool, actually. Yeah,
he's almost like a Red Armor of this game.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like that attack is just so brutal.
Yeah,
like, Capcom really had an act with like brutal methods of killing you.
Oh yeah. I have to say.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, as a little side, this was made by Toshi Okamoto.
That's right.
Yeah. He programmed this when he was like 24. He also did 1942 Sidearms and Gyrus.
Yeah, you can really.
Oh wow. Okay.
You can really feel. You can really feel the continuity between stuff like Commando and 42 and this. You know. I was going to say, as much as I complain about how brutal this game is, this is honestly one of my favorite shooters, just for how, well, I guess you can only call it sort of bloodthirsty. I mean, it's really, I guess you might say it's quarter thirsty, but it's just after you constantly.
Yeah, you're constantly just being bombarded.
I mean, I wanted to go back and re-record this and try and go for maybe less deaths or even no deaths, but it's just honestly it's such a concentration sink that just couldn't face it. Just doing it this week.
So yeah, there's.
Is there rank in this game?
No, there's I don't think so. I think okay. Enemies will gradually shoot more as you get further into the game, but there isn't a sort of dynamic increase. Yeah, okay. I took care of old Pig Joe very quickly. Oh, right in the eye, jeez.
Ooh, yeah.
Right in the eye, Joe. Right in the eye.
I see what you mean. Why it's like funny sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes you get them worse than others. I took out Pig Joe quickly. He's not the sort of boss you want to have hanging around. Very nasty pattern. This stage is unfortunately about, like I say, it's about 4 times as long as all the others, and it's if you can make it past here and keep your nerve, you've pretty much won the game. Well, except for one thing, which is the last boss, who was a total prick. Unfortunately, pardon the French. You'll see him later on.
So these are new enemies, aren't they? These bow and arrow guys.
They're they're sprite swaps of the bandit enemies.
Okay.
I'm trying to think how to explain. Yeah, they use exactly the same AI and patterns. The arrow guys, likewise, they replace the horizontal strikers, and the blue Indian blokes they replace the vertical rifles. There is some difference in that their arrows can be shot down, and they also go a lot further. So it's sort of Black Label sort of thing, you know.
Oh, you got the skull.
Yeah.
Not quite as crazy as the Commando one up, but
yeah, no, nothing quite like that.
You can't beat that.
I like as well how the Buffalo Skull it takes priority over all of the sound effects. So Capcom is sort of like, yeah, you really did screw up, pal. And there's the Holstein. There's the famous Capcom cow. I think this is his first appearance actually. Yeah, sorry, total geek moment there. Yeah, I really love that cow for some reason.
Just Western theme cows. I mean,
exactly.
Makes sense.
Cap rustling and all that. I like to think that the horse is like it's the same horse every time. And he's got a sophisticated network of tunnels underneath the stage, and just pops up where you need him to. You'll see in the glorious ending, the horse is always. I mean, it's. I think the horse may actually be the main character, and Billy's just his avatar or something. But, yeah. Anyway, getting off track. Yeah, this is as you can see, these are just window snipers, sprite swaps. Now there are TP snipers. I was going to say, I'm glad the replay's holding up, it seems, because this is.
Yeah, we're still going. I think we're still going strong here. You still got your lives and shit.
Hope I've not jinxed myself by saying that, but yeah. There's a bullet here. That's right. You wanna try and build the bullet stat a bit more than the other ones, because obviously you've only been getting the bullets in stage 3. So.
Now they're appearing.
If you start dying, the bullets are the first that are going to go. Oh, Buffalo Skull, sorry.
So you're grabbing the skull's an accident then?
Yeah. This bit is, I should say, just pure terror. Because those guys, when they jump off, they can't be killed until they finish a little animation. Second horse of the stage.
Yeah, and they land and then immediately fire at you.
Yeah, exactly. It's just dreadful. It's like the worst case scenario, but you can't do anything to prevent it. So yeah, I should have said in this stage you get 3 horses, and it actually makes sense to suicide than if you, or I should say swap them out, because as I say, it's the same horse clearly. Yeah, if you've only got 1 hit left in the horse, you should probably ditch it if you know where the other one's going to be.
Oh, sure, definitely. Yeah, that's a good tip.
Sorry, I know I'm talking a mile a minute. There's a lot going on for such a simple game.
Yeah, it's a fast-paced game. Yeah, that's for
sure. There's a bit coming up this is bar none my most hated part of the game outside of bosses. The screen is going to stop again when Wolf Chief shows up, and I shot through the fence there. Nice. It's gonna just unleash a hail of these point blank mountain jumper guys, and oh god, it's awful. It's pure terror. Here we go. Yeah, thanks, Capcom. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this is a bit of a... Here we go, we've got guys running here. If you, those guys, like a lot of shooter enemies, those strikers can only fire in certain angles, so they have blind spots you can take advantage of, you know?
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing here, trying to just lessen the amount of crap that's flying at me. And, here we have axe throwers. These guys are the only original Indian enemies. They can turn the game into basically Daimaku if you leave them alone. Yeah.
And the other thing is that you actually don't take damage when the environment squeezes you, is that correct?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you just get zipped along. It can be dangerous because if there's stuff on screen, the game will have to just pile drive you right into it.
Right.
But yeah, for the most part, you're okay with that.
Okay.
There's an extend there. You might think it's sort of like a challenge, like can you get the extend without getting crushed? But nah, it's not a problem.
Oh, okay.
This guy here will run on screen. He always does that. He'll get you before you get to the bomb.
Man,
I've died so many times to that guy.
What a jerk.
Yeah.
What a jerky face.
Capcom knows, man. They know when you want, to get certain things.
It's the final horse field, the ultimate horse field.
Oh, and that little bug icon was from Sansan, I believe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was trying to figure out where that was from. There's a lovely sort of continuity in these early Capcom games where it's sort of, you can see like the origin story of the Capcom icons. It's a sort of this is where Holstein came from. And then sort of when you're playing Strider 2 and you're picking up all these icons, you're like, yeah, the gang's all back together.
They were really proud of the arcade games back then or something, you know? Have like all these little references and jokes that go on.
Yeah.
Those images are just so iconic.
Yeah, absolutely. If I wasn't so fond of my current signature, I'd definitely put the Holstein in there somewhere because it's just, it's just honestly, it's just such a nostalgia kick, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yoshichi as well, of course, from Vulgus, which is the one-up in this game. Now, Wolf Chief has a very nasty bullet pattern that you actually have to dodge, unlike most of them, where you can just walk around it. And his crowd is an absolute nightmare. But the thing is that unlike every other crowd in the game, here we go. There's a nice lull where you can get some time alone and just put him down. So there you go. If you miss that lull, God help you, because it's going to be really nasty. But yeah.
Oh man. Okay, we got a question. Did you use auto fire in this free play?
I'm actually using auto fire, but for most of the time I'm tapping because this game's on-screen bullet count is very low. And if you get caught with nothing, if you get caught sort of with your 5 on-screen shots on screen, you're gonna die very quickly. So yeah, it's delay 6, I think, in name 099.
Okay.
It's not the sort of game where auto fire is gonna help you because anything that takes multiple hits will have invincibility periods, you know, like bosses.
So were you ever trying to play this without auto fire, and were you having difficulties?
I was really strict about not using auto fire when I first cleared this game back in I think 2010. The score that's currently on the scoreboard in the high score forum at Shmups was done without auto fire, but honestly, it's one of those games where it's just tedium, you know.
Oh, okay. So it helps you just.
Yeah.
In general.
But like I say, for a lot of this run, I'm actually tapping the button because that on-screen shot limit will get away from you very quickly, and before you know it, you're going to be point blank with a grey, and you'll try and shoot, but no dice, you know.
Yeah.
So you ran out. You got to reload your revolver, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but Yeah, it's very much sort of the sort of game you can play with or without auto fire. It's
Okay.
not it's not Darius Garden or anything, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like games of multiplayer. This stage is infested with jumping knifers, who are probably the game's least relevant enemy type, except when they force you up into the top of the screen to get shot by a rifle
Yeah, I
gun.
noticed that you moved up to avoid them completely.
They're honestly not worth killing really because they take so much damage and they happily go on their way anyway. They can only kill you by directly contacting, which is, you know, not too hard to avoid.
Fair enough.
This guy coming up is probably the game's, certainly for later in the game, the weakest boss, you know?
Okay.
Even though he has 2 rifles, huh?
Yeah. This game has absolutely no logic as far as boss difficulty. I mean, really, this guy should have been like maybe the 3rd boss, I think. But he's got a nice poncho though. I really like that. Yeah.
I like his rolling animation.
Yeah, it's like William Shatner. Super shoulder rolling action. He does have one nasty trick in that if you keep firing at him, he will sometimes just never pop up to shoot.
Oh, you gotta let him. Okay.
Yeah.
Let him expose himself.
Yeah, typical sort of Gradius thing, you know. You can only damage them when they're trying to fire at you, you know. He also looks nothing like his poster, which really annoys me for some reason.
So Joe Keep must be the sheriff then. In this game, right?
I know, it's strange that.
I was thinking, and that must be the case.
Yeah, that would make a great username. I wish I'd used that, you know. It's sort of one of those hyper obscure sort of geek things, you know. You know, if someone gets it, you think, yeah, this is my audience, you know. This is my company.
Joe.
So what stage is this now?
This is the 8th stage. This is the first.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the first one where you're going to see me die actually, because the boss lost Pubro. I'm sure that doesn't make sense in Spanish, but we'll have to go with it. Yeah, I don't know, Spanglish, I think. Anyway, Lost Pubro has he and the next guy, Fat Man. They have really horrible bullet patterns that can just dominate you off the screen, but they also have very little invincibility time, so you can speed kill them. Unfortunately, I get it off by a frame or so and suffer horribly for it. So you'll see. But yeah. There's buffaloes. Go away, buffaloes. This ain't your fight. God, it looks so angry as well. Anyway. You can see at this point actually, I think this is how it works. The greys are spawning a lot lower on the screen than normal.
Oh, yeah.
They have. At any rate, they certainly. I think Frenetic, you asked about rank earlier. Well, at this point, I'm pretty sure enemies start shooting more. There's also the issue of just fatigue because at this point it's been going for a while now, you know. So.
Yeah, it's like non-stop.
I really want to go back and try and get a know this, but it's honestly it's such a demanding game. Here we go.
That sounds like a tough feat to accomplish.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Didn't work.
So were you just forced up there and then?
I actually really screwed up. Like I said, my horsemanship isn't too good in this run. I really screwed up by losing the horse, who just makes the fight pretty trivial. But no, I was trying to. Yeah, I was trying to stay above him. That sort of inverted V bullet pattern he uses can just dominate the whole screen.
I see. But he shot you along the way.
Yeah, it's tricky because you've got those grey guys after you as always the whole time, and that didn't work out either. But
yeah, when they get behind you is probably the worst thing ever.
Yeah, it's the absolute worst case scenario. But if you've seen High Plains Drifter, you'll know that death is no obstacle for a cowboy's revenge. So this time around, you'll see the speed kill I'm talking about. It's as I say, this game is absolutely absolutely psychotic about its difficulty curve. I mean, this should not be the 8th boss, but look at what happens here.
Oh, there you go.
Bye, Lost Pubro. Lost
Nice,
Pubro. What
man.
the hell kind of? Honestly, I don't speak Spanish, but I can just tell something's not right there.
Yeah, Lost Pope.
Right in the eye as well. Thank God.
That was a nice one.
Yeah, Fat Man, aka Goldberg. Machine gun. Yeah, he is another one. It's sort of his bullet pattern is just absolute death, but he's got no defense, so you can get above him.
Okay.
This round has the only non-boss death of the run, unfortunately, and it's what happens when you stop paying attention to dynamite. You'll see. Yeah, being very lazy here. Those window snipers can't hit you on that side of the screen.
Works good.
Dynamite going off very nicely, but As you can see, the dynamite's not the most visible thing in the game either, so
Yeah.
it can get underfoot. Also, I swear there's times where here we go.
Yeah. It got you.
I swear I've seen this. It might just be a hallucination. I don't know. But the dynamite, I've seen it blow up just without flashing. I don't know.
Oh, really? I think Chum
it's
might have mentioned that.
Yeah, this is a sort of a bit of a glitchy game in a way. Like at this point here, I actually missed the horse there. But if you get a horse while you're riding the horse, something happens that's like out of the Book of Revelation. I can't even describe it. I'm not sure if it's good or bad, but I just avoid it. You get like sort of triple Billy Bob and 2 horses on screen, and you think, wow, awesome, 3 horses, but no, it's like it never works out. Should also mention barrels will damage your horse. So yeah, the game sometimes
really?
It'll just teleport you right into a barrel, and so you don't want 2 horses on screen. You never go full horse field. It's terrible.
So it's not. So it's actually part of the game then.
It's really odd.
Because I mean, if their hitboxes are there, I mean, you'd think that's legit thing. A secret,
yeah,
maybe.
it's very strange. Actually, it's something that I've got to look up for my guide actually. Because in the Indian stage with those 3 horses. Here we go. Very clumsy. Get down to 1 life bar and then.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a really nasty pattern of his.
That is brutal.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty tricky speed killer setup. Not so much the boss himself, but you've got to gauge it just right. Because if you move up too early, there'll be a ton of greys after you, and if you leave it too late, you're gonna get Fat Man's machine gun in your face. So this is all a very raw replay.
Yeah, this is a fresh replay, guys. Bill played this recently.
Yeah, this was done on Tuesday night. So. And then I spent the rest of the week playing Shadow of the Ninja on my NES. So very lazy. Oh god. Yeah, but don't worry, we'll get them this time.
We got lives.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. The lives counter is not moving. It's sort of, I don't know how many extends I've got, but we're good,
Yeah.
Set for life. It's tempting to think sometimes with this game, what if you could shoot behind you like an elemental master, I think a sequel that might have been interesting, but it's such a part of the game. This absolute terror that something could get behind you and that's it, curtains,
Yeah. I mean, I felt that I was playing Kill Kill Tiger earlier this week, and when enemies get behind you or come at you from the behind, it just raises the tension so much, and you kind of want to have that. Albeit to say there's a weapon that you can have, but will shoot behind you.
Yeah, the yellow, which is absolutely dreadful in all other respects, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. It comes right after blue, so if you miss the blue shot, you're like, yellow, no!
I know, there was a really good interview Black Oak translated where the designer's like, no, we didn't mean it, but I wonder.
Yeah, they said oh, yellow's good in a couple of places. It's useful.
Oh.
This is
nice
the...
dodging that gray at the same time too. I know it's you teabag.
Yeah, that's right.
Go for the teabag.
I was getting kind of depressed at this point because I'm like, oh god, I've died 6 times and blah blah. But you got to keep your spirits up and teabag a dead boss occasionally.
Yeah.
That's another benefit of this game being on foot rather than in a ship, is that it's a lot more personal. You can't teabag someone from a helicopter very easily. But,
exactly, that's the nice thing about it, yeah.
Plus, it's the old west. It's the old west, so it's already really brutal.
People gonna be teabagging regardless.
I'd like to see a sequel to this game set in the Dark Ages. Kind of like Undead Line, but a bit grittier, and it'd just be teabagging all over the place. It'd be like a bonus, like in Dragon Blade's tactical bonus. That'd be the teabag bonus.
At least you didn't run him over with a horse. That'd have been really bad.
Oh god, yeah, the horse.
Yeah, you're just running him over.
You really want to keep the horse to the boss, which I didn't manage to, because I'm just going to say this now because this boss, it goes so quickly it's hard to explain. This is the final boss, and his 2 little buddies, or his 2 sons, whatever, can speed kill, but his bullets spread. You'll notice the bullets in this game, when they reach their maximum limit, they sort of puff out. Well, the puffs kill you dead, and they hang around. So yeah, if it looks like I'm hesitating, I'm not, believe me. Those puffs are just infernal. And I think that's actually a bit of a miscalculation on Capcom's part, because it sort of really pushes it up to the absolute 11, You'll see.
Man.
No speed kills here, unfortunately. You got to keep house.
Hey, we got 2 new viewers in the chat. Welcome Kaku and welcome Neo Stray Cat. First viewers of STG Weekly on live on Skype. So, live on Twitch.
And that's a double KO with the gray. Sorry, I'm really proud of that miss because it's just like right after getting killed by the last boss, you get taken down by.
So this is the last boss, okay? Yeah. Because the music changed and everything.
Yeah. It does that sort of the boss alley, boss approach.
I know Chum was trying to beat this boss and he could not figure it out. Like, so this is just gonna be interesting.
It's infernal, and you'll see it here. At this point, I'm just like, yeah. You're going down.
Oh, what?
Yeah, here we go. All right, this is it. This is the real thing. I'm gonna teabag that. I don't want to say it. Trying to keep the language PG-13, but yeah, I'm gonna teabag. At the end of the day, get it. Here we go.
Oh.
Those puffs are just, I guess it's supposed to be shrapnel. Good lord, yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Here we go. The last one. Now, the last hit is the special one because you don't have to worry about getting shot if you take him out quickly enough. All right, pal Wingate. You're going down.
Oh, wow.
Oh, crap! I forgot to teabag him. Oh, okay.
Wow.
I did a little jig.
That's how you do it. Holy crap.
Yeah, it is honestly. I think that's the one thing about this game that I would wholeheartedly criticize is that they did not need to do that. That is just friggin' hell. Here we go.
Man, happy, very happy.
Oh.
Peace has finally returned to this town. Full stop. However, the bandits will probably return. I know there's some good English in there somewhere. It's
gonna be a typo somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
Hopefully.
Nice.
Yeah, and there's the horse, of course.
The horse does look really epic.
Yeah, exactly. As I say, I'm pretty sure the horse is the main character and Billy's just his human representative, And, hang on.
He's pretty generic, just wearing the blue jean outfit. I mean, come on.
All good.
Look forward to enjoying Capcom's next exciting... I like how they say thank you for playing it towards the end, like they knew people were going to give up on it,
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yeah, 2 thank yous. That's not very often.
Yeah. It's honestly a hell of a game, and I apologize if I've been talking too much, but there's so much going on all the time.
No, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's well like done. I say,
very well done.
Oh, thanks, yeah.
Yeah, very well done.
Glad I was able to get it out in time for the show, But it's the sort of game where it's built around one thing, and that's just the absolute intensity of fighting off those bandits, and it does it really well,
So how often did it take you to get consistent with beating the game?
God, it was 2014 now, wasn't it? Yeah, it was 4 years ago I was playing this, and I was I had a really different approach. I was absolutely hell bent on not using auto fire, so
you were. So that must have been really intense, mashing that button, mashing those buttons.
Another thing was that I refused to credit feed as well. It's actually not a hard game to hit the buttons on, because if you've ever played Strikers 1945, it's the sort of game where if you just tap the button slowly, it'll just blast right out,
Yeah.
But what it does make a difference with is just there's times where you want to just keep part of the screen covered, But yeah, at the time I was no auto fire, no credit feeding, no watching replays, and it damn near killed me. Honestly, I was so glad it was done by the end. I didn't touch it for 4 years. It was only when I PM'd me for the show.
Oh really? But you were so you were able to pick it up. You were able to pick it back up pretty quick. So it was like just kind of having the kind of that mindset of always taking care of the gray guys, and then that, and then knowing how to kill the bosses too definitely seemed important.
Yeah, actually, I didn't actually know a few of these like the speed kills for 8 and 9. I'm not sure I used those before, but the main thing is just that strafing principle, strafing down those gray guys. So that's the heart of the game, and it's it's something that works really well. I mean, it's sort of like Dragon Blaze's Dragon Shot. It's very satisfying sort of process, and it really supports the whole game.
Oh yeah. It's funny we mentioned, or you guys mentioned Kyokyuku Tiger or Twin Cobra, when the enemies, they get to the side of you and like try to snipe you. Mm-hmm. But this game is just those guys throughout the whole game.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Oh,
and it's funny because it's like those are the most dreaded things about Raiden and Twin Cobra, And it's like in Gun.Smoke, that's just the whole game.
Yeah. They're like the sniper tank sort of human equivalent, you know.
So if you play Gun.Smoke a bunch, you're probably going to be a lot better at every other shmup ever.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
I think what it teaches you is that you have to sort of be very efficient. Like with a classic mistake that the most frustrating deaths I find in this game are the ones where you strafe past an enemy, kill it, and then go back the way you came and run into his bullet. You know.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the absolute worst thing that can happen. This demo is awful, by the way. I don't know, they really weren't trying. But yeah.
Well, very excellent run, and that was really awesome that you could record it recently for the show, because a lot of the replays on YouTube were pretty butt in comparison.
Yeah, so. I know. And I think there was one guy he seemed to be playing on Capcom Generation, but yeah, I think he was credit feeding or something. I don't know, but
right.
It doesn't seem to be a very sort of well loved game anymore. But I didn't check Nico Nico, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, there was the NES version, and there were other ports, that, and so it doesn't seem it was as popular as Commando, but
no, I mean that's the thing. It didn't get no sequels whatsoever. I mean, even Son I think got sequels on PC Engine, I think, or something. But yeah, it's a good game. I recommend it if you want a sort of very. It comes down to, I know it's such a generic word to talk about with shooters, but it comes down to intensity.
Yeah.
And like I say, there's that great post on the Shots forum from a sadly banned user, where he just has a total meltdown about this game's entire sort of backstabbing thing. But it's that sort of thing. I guess what makes the game work is just getting a hold of that sort of experience and harnessing it,
Yeah, exactly.
So that you become the backstabber in a way.
That's right.
Like I was saying earlier when we were talking, Aquas, I think that if you were to sprite hack this game and make it about helicopters or something, you could really easily do it with the strafing, but it just wouldn't be as cool. It's not as cool as sort of facing down these bandits, sort of short range.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same, because it's like with the bandits, you kind of have the element of the human random element almost.
Yeah.
Because it's like, they zigzag, left and right, especially the gray guys. You can't. You can't expect humans. It's the hardest game.
And they seem crafty, right? They're like, ooh, crafty.
So they want to get you.
Gray guys.
And I always like a shmup too, where you're actually killing dudes. So that's always a good thing.
You heard it here first on Shooting Game Weekly.
Yeah.
Aquas's pension.
Well, they're more visceral, because it's like they even bleed in this game, don't they? A little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's the old Capcom trick of the hit spark is red, and it applies to everything. So yeah, barrels bleed, rocks bleed. But
that should be the byline for this game. Gun.Smoke, make them bleed.
Yeah, honestly,
it's a massacre. I mean, it does rival like Western movies, like the shootout.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the body count this damn thing must be off the charts. But I know that the poster which I've put at the front of my strategy guide, it says in big block capitals, that's right, two-way firepower with the death-dealing guns. Yeah, let's just get right down to it. It's all about just letting loose.
There was a quote on the artwork, the Gun.Smoke artwork, that I wanted to include on the stream. I forget what it was, though. Look at there was like a quote that they had with that live action guy. It was something cheesy like that, though.
Yeah. Oh God, those as I said, those advertisements for in the Archie magazines and Marvel comics. That's just nostalgia feel for me. I mean, I don't even particularly like nostalgia, but I remember seeing that and thinking, wow, that looks really neat. And you could just sort of barely make out the screenshots, But I remember thinking, what sort of game is that? And of course, I never got to play it. But I've not actually bothered with the NES version really, because I guess it's like it always is. It's sort of, the arcade one is the main thing, and the console ports become curiosities, Yeah. But I do know that you've got to hit A and B at the same time as shoot forward, which doesn't sound very fun. But
yeah, someone was mentioning that. Yeah, it's kind of different. But
I know it's got great music for one thing. That's
The NES one, cool. You can also buy items with your score. Which is that's always fun.
I guess it's kind of what they did with 1943, I think, when they gave you that sort of RPG sort of stat level up system.
Yeah.
You could sort of improve your plane's speed or firepower, what have you, but I think actually of all those ports, just to go off topic a little, the one I really like is Bionic Commando, or Top Secret. That's I think that really holds up. I mean, that's sort of, if you like the arcade version, definitely give that one a try.
Okay, I pulled up the advertisement on the stream. So like the big quote is it's high noon, you're alone, you're quick or you're dead.
Yeah, and this is like an Archie comic being read by like 8-year-olds. I love it, you know. It's
yeah, just, and so they have a blurb here. It says, "It's a bad day at Hicksville."
Yeah. Oh god.
In Gun.Smoke, you're lightning quick, gun-toting Billy Bob. Come home to find your peaceful mining town overrun by no good varmints.
Oh no.
So you'd best be getting to work.
So you best be getting to work.
You best kill them varmints, boy.
You best be getting to work.
The action comes fast and furious. The pressure is intense. The excitement builds. Your reactions,
that's a really good description, actually.
Your reactions must be honed and ready. You're thinking sharp and clever. That's Gun.Smoke.
That's beautiful. And what I like is that you could almost, for any good shooter, you could swap in the name and it would work as well. That's sort of like the.
There's still a little bit more. With all the dazzling graphics. Oh wait, no, that's Gun.Smoke, non-stop action, just like the original arcade game. Oh, so this is for the NES version.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
With all the dazzling graphics, so gather up your courage and load up Gun.Smoke today. I want you to load some guns.
I remember reading that, thinking, man. I mean, after sort of Contra and all that, I want to shoot some cowboys, you know, but never worked out. And as I say, I think a lot of people, when they picked up Capcom Classics Collection on PS2 back in the mid 2000s, this, as I say, this is not the sort of game you want to give to someone who doesn't know much about arcade titles, because they're just going to think, you know, it's impossible and this and that.
Well, if people watch this episode, they'll definitely have an idea of how to play this game correctly, because yeah, it's relentless.
Yeah.
So all right, I think that'll pretty much do it for the episode. So yeah, thanks a lot for coming on, Bill. It was really a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, really awesome having you on, Bill.
I know you said
wow.
I know you said you were interested in doing an episode on Metal Black, maybe, or something, right?
Yeah, if you guys ever want to do a Metal Black episode, I'd be happy to contribute.
That'll probably happen at some point, so we'll probably have you back at that point.
Metal Black is about the most obscure, odd sort of oddball shooter around. I think that people actually know of. But yeah, it makes it interesting. If anything, I guess the art style at least works.
That's true, and it's notable for G-Rev references a lot as Reporter Down, so.
Cool.
It touched one person.
All right, folks. So that's Gun.Smoke by Capcom from 1985 on STG Weekly episode 53. Episodes